Hi, my name's Arthur Papagiannis. I'm a registered psychologist and the Managing Director of AP Psychology and Consulting Services. I've been working with CFA over a number of years to help the organisation better support its members with managing their mental health. CFA has a number of support services and resources in place to help members manage their mental health, which I'll talk about later. But first, I want to talk about what mental health means and how you can make sure you're managing your own mental health. Understanding mental health issues means you'll be better able to look after your own well-being and support other members who may be experiencing difficulties. So what do we mean by the terms mental health, mental illness, and mental health problems? Like physical health, your mental health can vary over time. Thinking about it on a continuum from positive well-being to ill health, your state of mental health may move up and down that continuum depending on your circumstances in life. A mental illness is a diagnosable health problem that affects how a person thinks, feels, behaves, and interacts with other people. With the right treatment and support, most people recover from a mental illness, especially if they receive help early. A mental health problem also interferes with how a person thinks, feels, and behaves, but not as severely as a mental illness. However, it could develop into a mental illness if it's not dealt with effectively. Mental health conditions are common in our community. 1 in 5 Australians will experience a mental health issue in their life, but are perfectly able to continue with work and other responsibilities. A mental health issue doesn't reflect on a person's capabilities or diminish their future. The most common mental health issues are anxiety and depression, with up to 25% of Australians experiencing these conditions at some point in their life. Other mental illnesses include trauma and stressor-related disorders, substance use, psychotic disorders, and personality disorders. To help you identify and manage mental health issues, CFA has developed an online toolkit called Heads Up, which you can access via an internet-enabled device. Remember, mental health issues shouldn't be ignored. If left untreated, they could develop into a more serious mental illness. Take the time to find out about mental health so you can better understand your own risk factors, recognise the warning signs, and take action. For more information about how CFA can help, visit CFA online today.
Heads, tails, tails. None of you will know whose favorite pie or whatever, okay? So we can ask our children these tough questions. That is not an excuse. I'm out of time?
Yes, wrap up, please.
To wrap up, please consider, and perhaps we should have a discussion. We could have a meeting, board meetings, talk with you people, whatever is necessary. One thing I was very encouraged, you are all so motivated, and we're all talking about money. Please don't think about any of these things. It's not an issue of money. It is an issue of acknowledging that there's a problem and then worrying about it. If a child is on fire, and that's what we're talking about, this is literal abuse, and they're on fire now, not next month, not last month, it's not someone else's kids. As we're speaking, out of our 250,000 kids, students, 50 are newly being abused as we're speaking, and they're on fire in pain now, this second. So it is not a matter of whose hat is it. The CDC quietly changed the rules on everyone and mentioned, oh, by the way, this is transmittable community-wise, not familially, not within families. But if you're born within a community that starts to exhibit these problems, culturally, our brains respond. I can be raised in a convent. My brain will respond to what your children do. Do you understand this? If you don't, you need to. It is your responsibility. It is not a matter of a child being abused and they'll get over it. It is a physical change. It is not that they are thinking short. They are short. Their legs have been cut off. Sorry. Flip the coin, please. I would love to talk to you at a later point about this. It is very important. All our kids, we can find out now what the real numbers are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay. The business of the School Board of Broward County is now complete, and I am adjourning this meeting. Thank you, everyone. A long day.
We are at Crawley today, and we're here to celebrate the great work happening in youth mental health, specifically for 14 to 25-year-olds. Part of today is about looking at how that age group accesses services typically, and means by which we can improve that. For example, we know that 14 to 25-year-olds sometimes struggle to transition from child services to adult services. What's really encouraging is this emerging movement with clinicians, managers, and commissioners exploring means by which we can improve that, so that 14 to 25-year-olds are given the best chances of recovery. I would like today's event to inspire clinicians, managers, as well as policymakers to see that this is not an impossibility, to see that 14 to 25-year-olds are telling us that the services they require need to be easy to access with easier pathways, and also have a workforce that's skilled in adolescent and young adult mental health. Events like this are crucial in making changes happen because with the best of intention and effort, clinicians and managers do not always have the time to read the evidence or the policies and then change their services or their practice accordingly. A day like this allows for people to have conversations, to debate, to participate with the evidence and with the emerging practices so that they take away that knowledge into their own areas.
Surprising to me was the excitement that our staff had about this application. A few people had access to it during the beta testing phase. They were excited by the opportunity, and it's just been a rare experience for me to have been doing EHRs in behavioral health for 30 plus years, to have staff express excitement about an application. We also found that it took very little time to train users. The providers, we spent 20 to 30 minutes with them prior to their actually doing a visit with the app, walked them through it. They went and did the visit, and some of them used the app right away, some of them did not. Came back to us and got additional coaching. With that kind of intervention with the staff, that kind of training, it was the whole training period was over within a couple hours. With our medical assistants, training was a little more than handing them the iPad. I hand them the iPad, show them how to log in to it, and point out, one or two things, and they were off and running within minutes. It hasn't had much of an impact on the workflow, and that's a positive thing. They carried a paper chart around before, now they're carrying an iPad. We haven't had to adapt their workflow to the application, which is typically the case with most software applications. The application was designed to go with the primary care workflow, so it's been very positive. Expected that, like every other primary care EHR implementation that I've ever heard of, that we would have a significant negative impact on our productivity. And we found this to be just the opposite. We had staff spending in the first day or so, spending about an hour more seeing patients. That's completely gone. There's been no negative impact on productivity at all. That was surprising and very positive. One of the things that we didn't think we were going to get in this first iteration of the app was automatic posting of charges. When the provider signs off on the iPad, the charge posts to Avatar immediately. Same with the procedure. When the procedure is completed on the iPad, the charge for the procedure posts to Avatar immediately. That's another time saving that we didn't expect to be available in the first release.
Welcome to the Mental Toughness Academy for Youth Sports. This video is the next segment of a series of trainings for coaches to learn how to teach mental toughness to their athletes. Don't tell a kid to believe in himself. Also, don't tell a kid, you just gotta focus. You gotta start focusing. This goes right over kids' head. They don't even know what you're talking about. Tell them what to focus on. Give them something to focus on. Their minds are going haywire. They're thinking about their last event, their last screw up. They're worried about what might happen next. They're going all over the place with their teammates who's thinking this, my parents in the stands, and you're going, focus. How do I focus, coach? This works wonders, and I preach this all over the place. I call it just focusing on the love of the sport. When you have an athlete that has trouble focusing, you take a moment or two and say, Joan, what are you doing here? Why do you run the 500 meter? Why do you do the long jump? Why do you do the high jump? Right? They usually will say things like, well, it's fun. It's challenging. I like it. No. Dig deeper. And tell them to go home and say, I want you to write out a list of all the things you absolutely love about your event, about being here, in detail. A lot of times they need a little help on this. I say, well, you know, my sport is golf. That's my first sport. And when I get to the golf course, man, I just love being out in the open. Finally breathing some fresh air. I love cross-hatched fairways. I love the feel of a ball going right off the center. Oh my gosh, it's just like magic going up my arms. You know, I love the smell of fertilizer in the morning. And I go on and on about these details. Right? I actually had a swimmer recently. I said, what do you love about swimming? And she was struggling with this, and I said, think about your senses when you just step into the pool. She goes, oh, I love chlorine. I love the smell of chlorine. It's like, great. When you walk into the pool or walk into the building with a pool, you start thinking, chlorine, blue water, friends, and you focus. Here's the thing about focus. These kids are too smart for their sport, especially track and field. Okay? It goes for any sport, but this one even more so from the athletes that I've worked with. I like to give them the metaphor. I say, you've got like this Ferrari mind, and all you need is a bug to do your sport, a bug mind. So you've got to give that Ferrari mind something to do. All right? You hear a lot of elite athletes who talk about, I'm just about to get on the runway, and what are you thinking when you get on that runway? Nothing. I'm not thinking of anything. Good luck trying to teach a 14, 15, 16-year-old. Don't think of anything. It doesn't work. I can't do it. It's better to give them something to fill that mind with. Let that Ferrari out on the freeway. Fill it with things. Love of the sport. Big detailed list. Before they get to their event, you have them review that list. Look over it. When you walk into the stadium or into the building, you're looking at it, you're thinking about it, you're noticing, and you're going, my people, my place. Go to sportsmentaltoughness.com to get your free video training and guided visualization MP3 on how to perform under pressure. I'm Craig Sigl, the Mental Toughness Trainer.